Welcome back. This is Tour 848 already, Saturday, December the 28th. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. Hope you've had a lovely time. I'm joined by Simon Danczuk, Reem Ibrahim. We're in the middle of head-to-head. Look, we were talking about the sort of the way the different political parties are working out, and Labour it being pretty quiet at the moment. We don't know the numbers of members, not that is sort of just optics in many ways. But just in terms of Labour and trying to get on top of things, immigration. I keep saying it's going to be a major problem. You mentioned your sons earlier. But more than 450 migrants crossed the English Channel in small boats on Christmas Day. 451 migrants arrived on 11 boats on the 25th. There was a lull before that. Just in terms of the numbers of boats, more than 150,000 illegal migrants have crossed the Channel since the small boats crisis began. So Labour keeps saying they're going to smash the gangs, whatever that means. But of course they've removed the deterrent of Rwanda. No one seems to understand what they're doing, least of all them.
Yeah, it's the issue I feel most strongly about, and it's the issue that's moved me from centre ground to right of politics, because the idea that we can have so many illegal immigrants coming over in small boats like this, I think is just outrageous. And Britain is a very fair country. The people of Britain are very fair, and this is totally unfair, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
is that what's driving people to change their political allegiance?
Absolutely. I think it's a key factor in this, and the Tories just handled it exceptionally badly, let immigration go up massively over the last several years. It was as bad under Tony Blair in the Labour government. We talked earlier about employers pushing for immigration so that they didn't have to train people here in Britain. It's not sustainable, is it? And our infrastructure is creaking. You try and get around London, particularly at Christmas, but any other time of year, the whole infrastructure's collapsing.
But I mean, it's hardly surprising if you've got like 1 million people in, or say, you know, the size of Liverpool, Ipswich and so on. Where are the doctors' surgeries? Where are the schools? And no one's thought about any of this. So it is a fool's errand just to let people into this country.
It is, absolutely. I've got to say, I think that immigration, generally speaking, is good for the economy, and we have seen that over the last 100 years.
Targeted immigration is good for the economy.
Well, I would like to see a genuinely liberal labour market. The problem is, as we've discussed, the government have spent huge amounts of money on the welfare state, which means that there is an active incentive financially for people to come here and not work and ultimately not contribute.
Well, let's go back to the small boats issue, because this is an issue.
Indeed.
And the government says they're going to smash the gangs. They haven't smashed the gangs, have they? We're seeing more and more boats coming over. And the one deterrent, it may have been the wrong deterrent, but the Rwanda scheme was there, and the first thing they did was remove that. I think that was also an error. Why wouldn't you have let that play out?
And definitely, I mean, we know for a fact that it did have an impact on whether or not people did things, because we saw an increase in small boats going over to Ireland. So we know that it did have an impact. I was against the Rwanda scheme. I thought it was a horrendous waste of money. We didn't really send that many people in the end.
Well, we sent 3 Home Secretaries or something.
Indeed. Yeah. But that being said, I mean, at least it was one policy option. I can't see a viable alternative coming from the Labour government. I think what's really important, though, is that we do just generally say, if you come to this country illegally, you're gone. You're deported. I don't care what it is. I don't care why you're here. I don't care if you're claiming asylum, because ultimately if you've left France, you've come from a safe country. I think if you come here illegally, you're gone. However, I do want to see a more liberal immigration system in which we allow people that are actually, you know, that can speak English, that want to contribute, that can work. I know so many people that are from the US that struggle to get visas in the UK. They are intelligent people. So we're restricting the number of visas for intelligent people
but I would throw it back to you, but going into the US as an English person is also very difficult to do.
Absolutely, it is difficult, but I think that we shouldn't be restricting ourselves and stopping ourselves from having intelligent people here just because they do.
Simon,
what we need is not low-skilled immigration.
Starmer said in the run-up to the general election, to get votes, I've got a plan to stop the small boats. I've got a plan, and I'm going to implement it, and I'm going to scrap spending on hotels, putting illegal immigrants in hotels. What has he done? He's not got any plan at all. He's lied about that, and he's increased the budget and spending more on hotels for illegal immigrants than the Conservative government. I mean, it's a complete lie. It's an absolute disgrace. And what we have to do is I supported the Rwanda plan, and they should have let that play out. And the irony is that other countries are now implementing it, or something similar. Donald Trump has said,
well, all the hotels or whatever the accommodation is built, isn't it? So now the other countries are all eyeing it up.
Oh, absolutely.
And we paid for it.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. And you're right, when that policy came in, illegal immigrants started going to Ireland. They had an influx. So that showed that it was beginning to work. So why Starmer wouldn't let it out, just for political reasons and political spite, he scrapped it. And that's the wrong reason. What we should do, and I think, and this is reform policy, and I agree with it, turn the boats around, come out of the European Convention on Human Rights, absolutely. The legal system in Britain is holding everything up, whether it's illegal immigration or many other issues as well, politics in its own right. We come out of the European Convention on Human Rights.
Why is no one brave enough to do that?
Oh, well, because they're all on that centre ground. The Conservative Party hasn't been a Conservative Party, it's been a Liberal Democrat Party, really, for many years. That's the reality of it. And Labour's in a similar place.
I think this is the point, right? The fact that the Conservative governments over the last 14 years have effectively completely disregarded the term conservative and used it so liberally to effectively mean anything. I mean, they literally presided over, and I care about the economy first and foremost, they presided over some of the highest levels of public spending, some of the highest levels of taxation, and some of the highest increases in regulation that we've ever seen. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we've had left-wing governments over the last 14 years. And I know that this is a really difficult pill to swallow for a lot of those Conservatives, but a lot of them feel as though it's their right to be in government rather than an honour or a duty to serve your country. And I think that's the first...
Can I just move on and just say that the Labour Party, by the way, has some very odd priorities. I think they've set up a new quango every single week since Labour took office. 25 such arm's-length bodies, task force, advisory council. Since the election, we talked earlier about net zero by 2030. Let me just tell you, though, that just in terms of the quangos, the government's flagship Border Security Command, which we know, talking about immigration, is the same, by the way, as the Small Boats Operational Command, which was there before. Also, the Jet Zero Task Force is exactly the same as the Jet Zero Council, which is about the development of sustainable aviation fuel. And the new Regulatory Innovation Office is very similar to the Regulatory Horizons Council. It's a waste of money.
How not to get stuff done. Building more regular
organisations.
And devolving decision-making.
Yes, that's
Let
exactly
politicians make the decisions. Get rid of quangos.
I don't understand. Why do we have to have all these quangos?
We don't have to have
So
them.
this is exactly what Simon just said. It is devolving decision-making so that you're not responsible. It's exactly why the Labour government, I think, want to increase the amount of decentralisation. They want to have more local mayors because they can just say, well, if there's a problem in your local area, it's their problem, not our problem as national government. It's exactly the problem they have in the US, where a lot of policies are decided by the national federal government, but then you've also got lots of policies that are decided by state governments, and so you get a lot of blaming. And the more layers we have to government, unfortunately, the more we're able to shift blame.
And the more it costs. This is all public money being spent and achieving nothing. No productivity, no increase in GDP, no improvement in the standard of living. All because we're wasting money on the public sector, growing the public sector.
So, I mean, it just reminds me of Vivek Cooper and the immigration and the mince pie gate, obviously, that we saw a few days ago. In the new year, what does Labour have to do to turn this round?
I don't think they will turn it round.
Can they?
No, I know. I think it's going to get worse. We've seen the economy stagnate, July, August, September, zero growth. We're on the cusp of Donald Trump coming in and he's going to put into America as president. He's going to put tariffs on goods coming from here to the US. That will cripple business in the United Kingdom. They've put a national insurance increase in place, which is going to kill jobs. There's going to be far fewer jobs. The economy is going to go in the wrong direction. I tell you now, the theme anthem for Labour used to be "Things can only get better." I can tell you now, things are going to get worse. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do. I mean, look, they definitely could turn things around. There's 4 years until the next general election. I don't think that they will. But look, these are things that what they could do. They could reverse everything they implemented in the October budget. They could cancel the national insurance contribution rise for employers.
Ostrich.
They won't. They won't. I mean, they won't. They won't, but
they could. But also, if they did that, they would have so much public goodwill to say, actually, we made a mistake. This was a terrible policy. We've actually reversed it. You're right, they won't. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, both of you. Simon Danczuk, former Labour Member of Parliament, and author Reem Ibrahim, Communications Officer at the Institute of Economic Affairs. And that was today's Head to Head.